In this section, I go to talk about the Lightning Network, a layer 2 solution to Bitcoin scalability problem, and I dive deeper into the Lightning Network's white paper. And the Lightning Network's white paper abstract goes to say that Bitcoin, you're able to exchange value electronically without a third party, but it proposes a decentralized system where transactions are sent over a network of micropayment channels off-chain. So there's Bitcoin that's on-chain, and then value is transferred off-chain in the Lightning Network. And time locks safeguard the network from hostile participants. So why is this even needed? Well, Bitcoin has a scalability problem. Yes, it's an amazing distributed ledger, but it can't capture the entire world's commerce. Why? We established that nodes keep track of every single transaction that occur. So now if nodes had to track all global transactions, it's not only going to slow down the network, it's going to make it very difficult to operate a node. So we need a solution that doesn't sacrifice the security and decentralization of the blockchain. Now, in the white paper, it goes to say that Visa achieved 47,000 transactions per second during the 2013 holidays. Bitcoin has 7 transactions per second, as it currently enables or accepts 1 megabyte per block for its size. With SegWit, that can vary between 2 to 4, but 1 megabyte is its constraint. So if a transaction is 300 bytes and at 47 transactions per second, when you do the math out, it requires 8.46 gigabytes per block, which means running a node will be too expensive and not accessible to all, which defeats the open source nature of Bitcoin and making it easy for everyone. So to achieve a Visa-like capacity, Bitcoin needs to conduct transactions off the chain rather than on the chain. So the Lightning Network, a second layer protocol, is a network of channels that allow users to send money within these channels without any high fees. So you can think of the Lightning Network as a highway of payments to be sent easily and quickly. Since Lightning Network is built on top of Bitcoin, it has the same security benefits of the Bitcoin blockchain. And since it's a separate layer, it removes traffic from the Bitcoin blockchain and puts it in the Lightning layer. At a high level, Lightning Network uses micropayment channels. So if only 2 people care about recurring transactions, it's not necessary for all the nodes to know. So it's better to have minimum information on the blockchain and have transactions occur off the chain and defer the settlement for these transactions until later when they're settled on the chain. What this does, it avoids chain bloat and removes traffic from the chain and puts it off the chain. These channels use real Bitcoin that are exchanged off-chain. Users commit funds to a 2 of 2 multi-signature address, and the balance is updated continuously as funds move around, and the net balance is settled on the chain later. So how does the Lightning Network function? Users fund a payment channel using a 2 of 2 multi-signature address. What that means is it requires consent from both parties to spend the funds. Now, when they create this payment channel, a funding transaction is created to be sent to the Bitcoin layer. So the Bitcoin layer or the Bitcoin blockchain knows that 2 Bitcoin has been set aside for this payment channel. Now, Alice and Bob can transact unlimited times, and only 2 states are required for the channel to capture: the current correct balance and the old deprecated balance. Now, Alice and Bob can close the payment channel whenever they need, and the latest balance is updated on the Bitcoin blockchain. So in this example, Alice will have 1.2 Bitcoin and Bob will have 0.8 Bitcoin. That'll be settled on the blockchain. Now, when you chain together these payment channels, you get a network of transaction paths. So Alice can designate a payment path to Bob, and these payment channels can operate together without trusting each other. How? It uses hash time lock contracts and revocation commitments, also uses a few of Bitcoin scripting opcodes to make this reality. So what is a hash time lock contract, or HTLC? Well, a hash lock, users need to provide a secret phrase to claim the funds. So in this example here, Bob uses a random input puts it in a hash function, and gets a hashed output. He gives the hash output to Alice. Alice now sends a transaction locked with this hash that she received from Bob. Now, since Bob has the input, Bob uses the random input to unlock the transaction to get the Bitcoin. Now, time locks set a limit on how long a payment channel can remain open so that it prevents a user from leaving the balance locked forever. And since a payment channel is 2 of 2, it requires both parties' approval or consent to unlock this address. Now, a revocation commitment is a transaction rule that punishes any bad actor from stealing the funds by sending an old balance to the blockchain. So in this example, if Bob wanted to be a bad actor and broadcast the old balance to the blockchain, conditions are set such that the good actor, Alice, can walk away with all Bitcoin to herself, which would be 2 Bitcoin. Now, the Lightning Network takes these payment channels with hash time lock contracts, creates a network without a central clearinghouse. A clearinghouse typically is used to validate and finalize transactions to honor the buyer and seller's obligations. Now, the typical banking system uses Visa, MasterCard, Amex as clearinghouses. For Bitcoin, there is no need for a third party. So when transactions occur off-chain, each participant within the payment channel has an obligation to deliver the funds to the recipient. So the parties in between have an obligation to get the money to Bob. Now, if a payment channel along the way can't be contacted or expires, the network will just find an alternate route to get the funds to Bob. So in this case, if Carol is not available, it'll find another alternative. So it'll reroute the payment through Aaron and get it to Bob. Now, Lightning achieves lower fees since it's occurring off-chain rather than on-chain. But fees are dependent on few aspects. One, the time value of funds being locked for the payment route, meaning the cost of routing the payment through these payment channels. Closing the payment channel also has an impact on the fees because the settlement transaction goes on the blockchain and there's a fee associated with that. Now, 2 parties, Alice and Bob, can transact multiple times within the Lightning network, and only one transaction, the settlement transaction, is settled on the Bitcoin blockchain. Now, Lightning enables fast and cheap transactions, which has a lot of applications such as micropayments, so you can tip individual Satoshis, Internet of Things, so we can get appliances to talk to one another, and microbilling. Similar to the Bitcoin blockchain, the Lightning Network requires nodes to make it function. So the Lightning Network nodes are computers connected to the Lightning Network. These nodes transact transaction information to the network. The node needs to put up Bitcoin to access the network and route payments. The node acts as a middleman for routing payments from one person to another. Nodes can connect to one another. They can transact as many times as they'd like. Nodes can close a channel when it's no longer needed, and that is settled on the Bitcoin blockchain. Some benefits of Lightning include instant transaction, low fees, and it provides a scalability solution to Bitcoin. There are some drawbacks though. It creates centralization, meaning nodes with more Bitcoin can route more payments than nodes with less Bitcoin. And it requires liquidity, meaning users need Bitcoin to fund a channel.